Greetings and welcome to the 1/6 Scale Man proudly presents another episode of You Know What It Is. It is The Corner. And I am your host, Lael Rockwell, for this particular episode. Now, this is episode 2 of a series that I actually have called The Definitive Take. I decided to do this because, again, we hear that word thrown around every so often. It's called the definitive take on whatever figure we actually see that's been released, revealed, and what is the definitive figure from that particular line. It's multiple that we actually get, whether it's a 1.0, 2.0, whatever it might be. We want to have that conversation. We want to talk about it. We want to actually know what is your idea of what we call definitive. Again, thank you for being here with this series, or with me here for this particular series. I definitely appreciate that. Now, before we actually dive in, I do want to actually give a shout out to the places where we actually get these figures from, where I get my figures from, because I always pay homage to them. Starting off with the one and only Ray over there at Underground Figures. That's what I call him, Underground Ray, all day, every day, Ray. If you are looking for an assortment of figures, he got it for you. Make sure you sign up for that newsletter so you're always up to date as to when your figure is coming and when it's going to be released, because you always want to be in the now, and Ray makes sure that you are always in the now as to when your figure is going to be released. No NRD, shipping and handling is reasonably, so hit him up. He'll definitely take care of you. You tell him I sent you over there. Also, I want to give a shout out to my main man, Ray over there at Hawk Wars Toys. Definitely, if you are looking for an incredible array of figures, grails, he got it for you. He gives you a care package, figures, stickers, comic book to boot. On top of that, reasonably priced when it comes to shipping and handling. Ray takes care of you. He is my guy every day, all day. So I wanted to give him a shout out as well. Also, I want to give a shout out to my man, Watch Your Sixth over there at Comic Relief and Comic Collectibles. If you're looking for comics, 1/10 scale, 1/12 scale, anything you're looking for, he got it. Hit him up. He'll definitely take care of you, as he always does. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my man, Brian Wong over there at Modu Case, Modu Space. I do have my mono coming up, so I'm so excited when it's released, or actually it's here right now. I have my review for it that I will be putting up probably later on today. So I'm excited about that. And I know you are too. I know you can't wait to get yours in hand. If you are waiting for it, it will be there soon. So definitely want to give Brian a super duper shout out for always coming through and being who he is in the collecting community. So definitely wanted to give him a shout out as well. Now, again, I know why you guys are here, because, again, we want to have this discussion about what we call and what we deem the definitive take of figures. Let me I got to adjust my mic here just a tad bit. Yes. So you can hear me and make sure that we are actually in here, because I know sometimes this thing wants to play a little bit coy. But yeah, here we go. I'm here with y'all. I'm in here to build it. Let me make sure I got it tuned up the right way. Oops. Messing with my audio, changing it a bit. I want to make sure I'm not coming in too bad. I think I'm actually in here now. So yes, here we are. Here we go. Let me actually just make sure those are right. You know, I'm always playing around with the levels, making sure that they are always cool. My gain is cool. There we go. We're good. Here we go. So thank you very much for tuning in. It is going to be another incredible show. So I'm so glad to have you guys here with me, as always. So again, let's dive in. Let's talk about this figure. Now, most recently, let's talk about the most recent rendition that we actually got here. And so most recently, we have gotten this particular version. This is the Dark Sidious version from Revenge of the Sith. Now, we actually got a chance to see the disfigured version of him. Now, mind you, this is his true look. So I just wanted to put down here, this is how he really looks. So this is Emperor Palpatine, so I wanted to actually put that out there. And again, this is what you're getting with this particular figure, or with this character. Now, again, some would say this would possibly or could possibly be the definitive look for them. Who knows? I don't know. For me, it's going to be hard to kind of really gauge this, because this is what we got from the end of the movie. Now, we did get a chance to see Palpatine in action for the first time, using his lightsaber on this in this particular film. Now, we know throughout the years, especially with the lore, Palpatine refused to use the lightsaber, as he basically thought it was just too primitive, and you wanted to rely solely on the dark side of the Force, because he thought he was just that powerful. His hubris, his arrogance. There were a few times that he picked it up, but was never used in combat. So we got a chance to see that version of him here. So it's exciting to see him pick up that saber as he did. definitely, here. But again, is this the definitive version for you? It may be for some. For me, it's going to probably be a different story. And the reason why I say that is because we've gotten a couple of different iterations. One, we also have this particular version, which is from the Clone Wars. Now, this is the Clone Wars Palpatine that we actually got here. This particular version, again, was seen in the animated series, but they've actually merged the animated series with live action. Now, this one, of course, no one seen coming, but a lot of people were after. This is supposed to be coming up here shortly. I don't know when, but this is when he wielded his double-bladed. He actually had two lightsabers that he wielded. Eventually, we've seen him actually condense that down to one. And then, of course, we know with the earlier iterations, none. So this is where we at with Palpatine, with Palps himself. So again, it just depends on the iteration that you're looking for, and what you're going for, when it comes to the character itself. But definitely, is this the definitive version for you? I don't know. We have to leave that up to debate, because again, is there really a definitive piece? Now, some would argue, all right, some would also argue that this right here is the definitive Palpatine. Of course, this is Return of the Jedi version. This is the Return of the Jedi Palpatine that we've actually gotten. Is this the definitive version? Is this the version that people have been going after? This is the most sought after figure. Again, when this came out, it came with the throne. So you had a version with the throne or without the throne. It was definitely a highly sought after piece. One that a lot of people had actually wanted. And again, I have it. I was lucky enough to get it when I got it. And that's why we always say, like, when you're going after these figures, make sure you get the one that you're looking for. Now, again, in some viewpoints, because again, this is OT. OT is always viewed as being definitive, but there's always room for improvements. Okay. Whether it's the head sculpt, articulation with the body, with the purrs, with the rolling the eyes technology. And that's what kind of takes me back to this one, because this particular version, of course, we know it does have the purrs. They did give us this new technology with the sculpting, even with the hands themselves, where the lightning is attached to the hands, has the light up LED feature in that. But again, they've done such a good job with this piece. You can see the disfigurement, which is his true nature. This is actually what Palpatine looks like. Again, that was just discussed in the lore. But again, what do you deem definitive? That is the argument. And I guess that's basically more so up to the person and what you're looking for at the moment in the figure. Might be one that's actually for you, one that you want. This might be the one that you're going after, considering in fact that this is a prequel trilogy. And this is the version that we actually got with an interaction with Mace. We recently got the release of Mace Windu. So would we deem this one to be the definitive version? You know what I mean? Is this the one that you would want? That's the question. Now, for me, luckily enough, I'm not going to have to go through that because I'll have all three of them. I'll get all three of them. I have these two, this one and the Clone Wars version on pre-order. But what is definitive? And I think that this is a bit harder. This version is going to be a bit harder for me to kind of quantify and say whether or not it's definitive, because again, there's good in pretty much every piece. We have this piece right here. You know what I mean? This one right here, which is, we actually got a sculpt of the young, or what would be deemable, the young Sheev Palpatine. Still old, but younger, before the disfigurement. Still has the lightning effects, a much more sleek, agile. Again, we saw him when he was basically going up against both Maul and, Oppress. Again, so it just depends. It's still a good look. It's still a good Palpatine to have in your collection, whether you want it or not. It just depends on the version that you are looking for. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's completely up to the person and what they want, and what you would deem to be the best version. So, but it's kind of tough, because then I go back to this. And this is OT for me. I mean, all day, every day, I have him right back here, flanked by both the Imperial Guards. It's tough. It's tough. This mm, is tough because from my standpoint, I would probably see this as being the definitive version. But again, it's going to definitely be up to the person. And from my viewpoint, it it's hard. It's a hard space to gauge. It's definitely a hard space to gauge and entertain. But from my viewpoint, I would say that this to me would could possibly be more of the definitive version. But I leave that up to you guys to interpret. But I guess the biggest question is there a such thing as definitive? And again, that's why I always say it's up to the interpretation of the person who's getting the figure. And if once they have it in their collection, what do they feel is more definitive? What's more of a definitive piece for you? What basically draws you in? What brings you closer to this particular figure? Because you have prequel fans who love the prequels. They were born into that era and they see this as the most important version of Palpatine for them. You have the OTs, me being born in 1973, going to the theaters in 1977, seeing Star Wars on for the first time on the big screen, seeing Jedi, 82, 83. Again, it's going to depend solely on the person and their interpretation of what they basically deem. That the OT for me is going to be always Palpatine, or I'm going to always gravitate to the OT. But you might see things different. You have a new age also for individuals who gravitated to the Palpatine from Clone Wars. You know what I mean? And that climactic battle that we got from that. This also has the purrs. Again, you're going to have people who are going to gravitate to their version of this particular figure. So it mainly depends. Who knows? You know what I mean? It depends on what you're looking for, what you're going for. Again, there's no right or wrong because I think they all hold a space and they're all incredible. But what would you basically say is the definitive version? For some, it may not matter because you might actually get all three. You might have, Palpatine from the OT, Return of the Jedi, and you might actually be getting the other two. So it doesn't matter to you. But for some, especially for people who want a version that most represents their culture, during that time period, their age group, it's going to be a different story. So again, definitive, not definitive, I don't know. We gauge it. It's up to you. What basically more so relates closely to what you want from the figure. So that's what I think that you have to more so decide. There's no right or wrong way here, people. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely no right or wrong way. This is definitely, these are incredible pieces. These are things that, again, hold a space in us, in our hearts. And I don't think that there's a wrong way to basically look at this. From whatever standpoint you want, you're going to have the versions that most closely relate towards, what you want in figure form. So that's what you want to judge it off of. Again, we're not here to judge. I'm definitely not here to judge and tell you what you should get and what you shouldn't get, because I think these pieces are incredible. So you decide on what works better for you and live in that space. And that's all it's about. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on this and actually give you another episode of the definitive choice. What do you basically see as being the definitive figure? What works for you? Do me a favor, head on down in the comments. Well, mainly hit that like button, man. That's why you're watching this video. But comment. I want to know what you basically think is the definitive space or the definitive figure for you. Which Palpatine works more closely to what you see as being the definitive one that you would want to have in your collection. And let's talk about it, because that's why we have the definitive take. That's what this is about. That's what this show is called, the definitive take. And I'm actually happy about doing these little segments. So if you want to see more, let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you are always up to date to what we actually got going on over here on the channel. It's your boy, Lael Rockwell, signing out as I always do and saying peace and love to everybody out. Until the next take, I'll talk to you guys later on. Peace and love. Enjoy your Sunday. And we are out. Peace.